So good morning. Welcome to this week's Breakfast with Mike. And, just before I started the recording, I played a little clip from the baseball sketch, Who's On First. If you've never seen it, just Google it, watch it. If you're a baseball person, you can't help but at least smile. Some people do a whole lot more than that. I've heard people say you can watch it 100 times and laugh 100 times. I'm a baseball nut, so I do. But the whole point of that sketch, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know, is on third. Bud Abbott is trying to give the names of the players. And he's talking to Costello, who's on first, what's on second. And Costello, of course, is going, that's what I'm trying to find out, who's on first. And he's, yes, that's, what do you mean, who's on first? Who? What's the fella's name on first base? No, what's on second? The point is, if you don't know who the players are, you can have a real problem. You see, I know they wrote that as a baseball skit, but I said the other day, they could have just as easily written it for realtors, because most realtors don't know who the players are. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was talking to them about talking to the agents that they have in their own agent network. Who are the agents that specialize in listings? Who are the agents that specialize in condos or investment properties or land? See, as realtors, most people that don't produce at a high level don't specialize. They try to do everything. Whereas a lot of times top agents will pick kind of a niche market, and that's what they work on. When all of a sudden something comes in from someplace else, in a lot of cases, they'll refer it out. Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know is on third. You got to know who the players are. Who are the agents? When you've got a buyer and you can't find anything, who are the agents you should be calling that might have something that would fit? If you're on the listing side and you've got a listing, who are the agents that tend to sell those kinds of listings? And are you talking to them? One student said this morning that she called some agents and they were offended that she called. I said, take them off your list. Don't bother with people who don't want help. Find the people who do need help. Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know is on third. Even if we're talking to our core people, our sphere of influence, you keep hearing people talk about right now, we have a lack of inventory. And I believe that's true. I think it's starting to shift, but I still believe it's true. We have a lack of inventory. We have an oversupply of buyers. So if you've got buyers that are looking for properties, you need to know who to call. Those people in your core, they're not moving. I don't want them to. I want to ask them, who do they know that's thinking about moving? I've got somebody who's looking for a condo. I got somebody who's looking to invest in multifamilies. Who do you know who might have something they've talked about moving? If you don't know who the players are in the different markets, then everything else becomes a guess. You're just hoping that the market will help you to make money. Well, top producers don't rely on hope. When they do, they tend to run into downtimes. And that's when they catch themselves. Ooh, wait, I've been doing too much hoping and not enough work. Because this is, by the way, a job. I know it comes as a surprise to some of you, because that's not why you got into this. You got into this for the freedom, the flexibility, and the promise of untold wealth. Top producers give up that freedom and flexibility in order to get the untold wealth. But most agents, they'll never give it up. We had a discussion this morning about possibly changing the format of this breakfast to try to get more people involved. Where are the people that are not making money? Why aren't they taking advantage of this free service? Too busy. Doing what? Not this. They're not selling. It's funny, the other day I saw a very well-known coach doing a video, and it was very comparable to things that I've been teaching for years. Talking about agents and getting and talking to those agents about their listings, helping to get them sold. Top agents have been doing that for years. They've been networking. They don't always call it a system, but they've been networking for years. Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know who's on third. Do you know who the players are? When you've got a listing, do you know who you should be calling to help get that thing sold? Every once in a while, I'll be on the phone with somebody on a one-on-one call, and they'll start the conversation off. You're not going to believe what happened. Now, as soon as you should realize, as soon as somebody says that to me, they're about to tell me something I taught them, but it worked. And maybe it worked for the first time. Of course, maybe they tried it for the first time. But when they start out with, you're not going to believe this, I already know what's coming. The other day, somebody said, you're not going to believe this. I was talking to some agents about my new listing. Yeah, one of them showed it and sold it. Oh my God, what a novel idea. Wait, I've been teaching that now for 12 years. Just caught on? No. Too busy. Doing what? Not this. Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know who's on third. MLS, I keep referring to as the kiddie pool. But if that's how you market, you're marketing to the whole baseball world. You're not marketing to the first baseman, the second baseman, and the shortstop. And it takes more time to market to everybody than it does to turn around and have people right near you that you can depend on. Who are the players in your market? If I said to you right now, who is the top investment listing broker in your area? Do you know who it is? If I said to you, in your area, who sells more land than anyone else? You know who it is? If I said, who lists more condos than anyone else? You know who it is? Because you should. Because that would be the person you would call when you have somebody that fits into that mold, into that piece. That's who you should be calling, and they should be part of your network. Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know who's on third. I think so many realtors spend their time with the I don't knows because they don't take the time to learn the players and what their specialties are. I knew who all the specialists were, so that if I needed something, I knew who to call. I didn't depend on MLS. What surprises me more than anything else is that you do. I don't know why. I'm not sure about that part, but you do. You depend on MLS way too much. And in this society that we're in right now, the way people hack into things, I'm just surprised it's lasted this long without crashing. What will you do when MLS crashes? Do you know who the players are? If all of a sudden somebody says, I want to sell my house, would you list it for me? And you couldn't put it in MLS. Do you know who you would start calling? Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know who's on third. There's a part in that skit where Costello says, I'd like to be the catcher for the team. Me being a good catcher, the guy gets up and he bunts the ball. Me being a good catcher, I go field the ball and I throw the ball to who? And Abbott goes, now that's the first thing you got right. And he goes, I don't even know what I'm talking about. You need to know who the players are in your area. Are you a specialist in your area? If so, what do you specialize in? Do you specialize in high-end listings, first-time buyer listings? What do you specialize in? More importantly, who would you call when you need help? See, I think we need to know who the players are. Now, by the way, I'm going to take this one more step. Outside the agents, let's say you're working with clients. You know, I've taught people before that one of the things that I learned was I'm an emotional person. So as such, I used to connect very well with other emotional people. But I didn't connect with analytical people, and I didn't realize that's what was going on. I would lose a listing and I wouldn't know why. Come to find out, I was connecting with the emotional person, but I wasn't connecting with the analytical person. Turned out the analytical person was the decision maker, and I would lose. And it wasn't until I realized that I wasn't connecting to the analytical person that I started to get better, stronger. How many times have you said, why aren't they doing something? Geez, I talked to Janie and she seems like she's on board and I can't get them to pull the trigger. I don't know why. Oh, maybe it's because Janie's partner is the decision maker and you're not connecting with them. Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know who's on third. If you don't know, then you should start working at this. This needs to be a skill that you can develop. I've asked this before. I won't do it today, but I've asked it before. Many of my students have been with me for a long time, and I've asked this question. Do you think I'm emotional or analytical? Now, I already gave you the answer, but when I asked this question before, nobody got it right. Everybody thought I was analytical. I'm not. Then I asked the question between my wife and I, who do you think the decision maker is? They all said, you are. I said, no, I'm not. Isn't it funny? Some of these people have been with me for years. There's only two possibilities here, emotional, analytical, and then two on the other side. Decision maker, not the decision maker. They got it wrong both times. Why? Is it possible that you're dealing with people, buyers or sellers, and you're connecting with the person who doesn't really make the decisions? Is it possible that you are emotional as well and you've shut out the analytical and it's the analytical that makes the decisions? Or you're analytical and you connect really well with the analytical, but it's the emotional that makes the big decisions. I used to take advantage of a situation. If I was going into a home and I saw that maybe they had a newer car, I'd ask them about it. I'd get them talking about the car. Inevitably, the person who talked about the car the most was not the decision maker. The decision maker would talk about the money. It was just a little thing, but it gave me a chance to say, okay, based on what they've just said, I think maybe now I know who the decision maker is and who isn't. And so I would work under that premise for a little while until they either prove me right or prove me wrong. You know, you show up at somebody's place and they got a pool, a nice, big, beautiful dug-in pool in the backyard. Ooh, how long have you had that? Oh, we only had that put in a couple of years ago. Oh, wait, big investment a couple of years ago. Ask questions. The answer to those questions might very well help you to figure out who the decision maker is. If you know who the decision maker is, you make sure they're involved in everything you're doing. I don't know if this makes sense or not. I hope it does, because it cost me a lot of money not knowing. But once I did know, changed everything. Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know. Oh, they're on third. We're not talking about them. If you catch yourself working with people for a longer period of time, chances are it's because you've connected with the non-decision maker. You haven't got them on board. Rethink this. Start talking to them about everything that's important to them. If you could find a like I said, a car, a pool, I don't know, maybe they bought a motorhome. During COVID, I heard motorhome sales went through the roof. You see a couple of, you show up, you see a motorhome in the backyard. How long have you had that? Oh yeah, no kidding. Let's talk about it. And if you can't figure it out, you better start including both people in everything you talk about until you figure out who's who and what's what. I hope this has been worth your time. I hope you figure out who's on first, what's on second. I don't know. They're on third. We're not talking about them. You've only got to figure out two things. And if you do, it's going to change everything for you. I hope you have a great weekend. I'm going to turn off the recording and let these guys throw some questions at me. If you ever need to, my number, everything is all here. You can feel free to give me a call. Love to hear from you. Talk to you later.